is sacramental, meaning that it is what it conveys. There's no difference between the name, the person, the form. And the Lord, who is named Sri Nityananda Ram, we can experience tangibly that eternal joy and ecstasy for which the soul is ever hankering in remembrance of Him and chanting the names Nitai and Gaur, which is so essential in our Krishna conscious sadhana. Because we promote going back to Godhead, to serve Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, who are addressed and the sacred vibration of the Maha Mantra. And yet Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, continuing the train of thought, expressed by Lord Nityananda to Jiva Goswami as Nitai's nearly final pastime in this world, because he was instructed by Mahaprabhu to reveal the glories of Navadvip Dham to Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya inspired Lord Nityananda to describe the glories of Navadvip Dham and Gaur Nam to Jiva Goswami, to assist him in his service to his uncle, Sri Sri Rupa Sanatana, by giving a foundation, a strong philosophical foundation to their teachings. If our timing goes right, we'll end with that pastime. We'll be giving a prelude to it now, because in Jiva Goswami's prayers to Lord Nityananda, when he finally met with him in Navadvip Dham, very eloquent and extensive prayers, but I would like to focus on one line, which is really crucial to today's events. He prayed to Lord Nityananda that as Krishna's first expansion, who then expands into the first Chaturvyuha, from which Narayan expands again into the second Chaturvyuha, into all the avatars. Lord Nityananda also expands into all the paraphernalia used in worship of Krishna. And he expands, and pay attention to this, as the holy Dhamma, So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is served, Savior. Father on this. So, Krishna comes in Vrindaban to experience your love. And Balaram comes. Lord Chaitanya is not always in the mood of Radha. His moods are ever changing. Sometimes Balaram, sometimes Swami, sometimes Krishna, sometimes Radha. In drifting with Lord Balaram's moods, Lord Nityananda drifts from Balaram to Nityananda, the joy found in the service which the devotees offer. As Lord Chaitanya cannot be understood without the grace and blessings of Lord Nityananda, Nitai Prabhupada cannot be understood without the help. And just after that, this incident with the crow is when Nityananda arrived in Navadvip. He became the darling son of both Sachinanda and Mama. He was so childlike. He wouldn't even eat if they didn't feed him. And he was so loving to his mother that when that crow flew down and took the cup and the ghee, which Mama used to food, and flew away. And she was so disturbed. The crow just disrupted her service beside her. And Nitai is so sensitive to her moods. Looked up to the sky and said, "Crow, bring that cup back." Landed, dropped off the cup and flew away. And Malini was so touched. She said, and she offered prayers glorifying Lord Nityananda, after which she concluded, "For you to return that cup is not such a great event." In that gesture, it's so deeply touching. So after her prayers, Lord Chaitanya continued the sequence of glories of Lord Nityananda. And this is related to how Lord Chaitanya can be drawn to the grace of Lord Nityananda. Anytime cannot be moved. He's not but by the grace, blessings, prayers, and pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya said, just following Malini's prayers, that addressing Nitai, you are Ananda in form, Ananda in name, personification of Ananda, who died so deep into the ocean of Ananda that you remain there for days on end before you continue to distribute that Ananda, which you do eternally, Nitya, therefore the name is appropriate, Nityananda. And that's what we're all seeking. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that so much in his preaching. The nature of the jiva is to seek Ananda, eternally. Nityananda, who appeared today. a chakra. That's enough. Country of Bangladesh, considered inauspicious because the Ganges doesn't flow there. But today became most auspicious because the father of the Ganges, literally, because amongst his two begotten children, Karnadak Hare Krishna, and the Devi is, and a third son adopted her as own Devi. So make a chakra. A very saintly Brahmana from Midland. And his wife, all the pattern which is quite typical of parents of the avatars. They approached their later years to experience that the joy of their marriage was somewhat darkened by not having a son. Although the Bhagavad cried so hard, she performed sacrifices, austerities, vratas, vows, giving charity and praying for her son. As they're entering their later years, there was no son. Until great hope one night, and a very saintly personality appeared in Maharaj's dreams and said, "You will bear a son who will deliver unlimited sinners from the bondage of suffering." And the couple was so elated. And then she demonstrated shortly thereafter the signs of pregnancy and gave birth today. He's quite mysterious because he's abundant. Which means he's so divinely intoxicated with love of Krishna and the joy of service that Lord Chaitanya said of himself, he sometimes forgets to put on clothes, he's so unaware, can't talk coherently at times. And what Chaitanya said, like, trying to understand, but actually love him. That when I ask him questions, he replies in the most bewildering and meaningless ways. If I ask him, "Why are you naked?" he says, "It is so." If I tell him to put on clothes, he says, "I'm hungry." If I ask why, when I inquire from you with one question, you give an entirely different answer. And you say, "I went there 10 times. Simple, sportive, unassuming as a child, and loving to play with the children, as well as with crocodiles. Like they were toys in the river. This is real crocodiles, huh? Nothing could control or subdue him other than the words of Lord Chaitanya. And even more so, when he would be just uncontrollably wild to the extent that he would not even respond to Lord Chaitanya's words and instructions. Lord Chaitanya would take Nitai in his lap. And would he so calm and peaceful as a baby in the lap of his loving mother. so excited, he just took off running. And his loincloth, which is the only thing he was wearing, fell off. And he pondered for a split second, and he spent the time to pick it up, or should he just keep it? So he picked it up and dressed himself in an extravagant turban. Now remember, he's in the mood, and because of his mood, everyone was seeing him as the living shadow. So it's not. Disturbing. So he ran into Satchi's courtyard, wearing his extravagant turban. Vishnupriya saw him and she was alarmed. She ran into Satchi's room, closed the door, and hid behind Mother Sachi. Look at your son. Sachi walked down the corner and she just burst into the most joyous laugh. Because he's not whatever he does. He's a source of great joy, eternal. And then Lord Chaitanya took off his turban and personally dressed Nitai by making an ornate loincloth for Nitai out of Lord Chaitanya's turban. So back to Ekachakra. There's two types of time. There's chronos, which is chronological, sequential, linear. And then there's kairos, which is Krishna's time, which can go back and forth and around in circles and come back to the same place, but it's always on a deeper level. So, Ekachakra, that I Pandit and Vrindavan were Vasudeva Rohini in Krishna. And from his earliest infancy, Nitai would, as he was called, Nitai, would gather all the children of the village, and these are little children, this is before they went to school. And he would very, in utmost detail, teach everyone their role in the lila they would enact that day. The wedding of Vasudeva Devaki was a grand event. But before that, he told one boy, "You're booming, so hide behind this big rock and call out, 'Oh Devas, I'm so burdened by the heavy defense force of these militant kings who are really demons posing as Kshatriyas. Come and save me.' And he told another boy, 'Climb up in a tree. Say her sight. I will descend to relieve the burden.' And then all the boys went to the shore of the river and prayed. And the parents are watching. Now these boys had studied Shastra for too long. And yet the parents are hearing the Shastra come to life. But not verbatim, because Nitai was filling in lines, and most emotional of all was the line, which was for many days the very, because Ramayan's emotional, full of pain, drama, ecstasy, victory, defeat, trauma. So it was very emotive. But it wasn't verbatim Ramayan, because Lord Nityananda was filling in little gaps that even the parents had never heard such detail. But it wasn't like an act. play within the play. And we were vacillating between what charming childhood pastimes and this is something supernatural. And in perplexity, they were asking me, who has taught you all these pastimes, all the details that aren't even in there in Shastra except between the lines? Where have you learned all this? I'm the source of all this. This is my Leela. And I have come here to you. And you, well, that's very charming. Maybe there's something to it. So that went on for years. And Nitai was, not only then, to this day, his life and soul. Everyone there greets himself as Ray Nitai. And it's very charming, or at least it was, back before it was developed, because every Murtiwala has Nitai Gore. Usually Nitai is begging, give us, we get, the Gore is always considerably larger than Nitai. Now this one usually about the same size. Not much difference. And they are chocolate. Nitai, at least back in the day, is considerably larger. And I wanted to do this, so I asked everywhere, is there any deities of Nitai in this village where they're at least close to the same size? And the emerging ones would look at me. Astounding. Big brother. They didn't know much English, but they knew big brother. Astounding. When finally, I thought, I want those deeds. Where he's clearly big brother. And of course that all goes back to Ramalila, where the tribes. Unbearably. Now, we get to the trial by fire, and Ram tells Lakshman, build her funeral pyre, so she'll enter into it, and she'll either perish or display her purity. But what need is it for her sins? This is like unbearable. Went against every grain and fiber of his being, but he was the younger brother. Lakshman was younger than Ram, so he had to obey. And he did. Agonized. But then, on that beautiful spring morning when the flowers were blooming and the birds were chirping and Ram succeeded to the garden, and she told him that she wanted to celebrate a retreat to Valmiki's ashram. They were short of Gandhaki. Nepal. Because when she's in exile, or when they were in exile, they were all in exile, they took shelter there, amongst their other residences. And Sita was so grateful to the wives of the sages in Valmiki's ashram. They were so gracious to her. But they were in exile. They didn't have any wealth, opulence, or anything tangible to reciprocate the service of the sages' wives. So Sita said, no, we got there. And distributed charity to reciprocate the love that they showered upon us at that time. And he said, wonderful. And then he told Lakshman, never did say it. He was just giving like the State of the Union address, and Ram could see in his countenance he was trying to conceal something. What is it? People are talking to him. Can't be chased. And how can we expect our wives to be chased? As the ideal king. She's unexpecting to go. She's anticipating great needs. So they leave her. So when Sita was boarding the chariot, she said to the Lakshmana, can't you even bear separation from Ram for a day? So he tried to control himself and drove the chariot. She bowed down to the cloud points of the sacred areas of the sun and the king. While she was offering her prayers, very great thing she could understand. Couldn't control his emotions. What is it? And he looked her in the face for the very first time. Said, I'm looking into your eyes one time to say farewell for the last time. Because I've been ordered to perform an act for which I am sure responsible. I'm leaving here. Ram is not taking back. She's pregnant. Turns out it was twins, love and Krishna. He's leaving her, forsaking her in the forest. And as the wailing cries of Sita resounded throughout the forest, Lakshmana spurred the horses back for a little bit. He swore to himself that even though I have faithfully served as his brother in every incarnation, next time I will do it. And he can't tell me to do something that I don't accept. Therefore, same size. He dies totally. Very charming. The bow. So Leelas are very enchanting, but philosophical foundations. I do. So he's the same as Balaram. The gentleman that I like, such a simple artist, and Balaram, the time. Perfectly. So he's not different all around. But the Chintra, Veda, Aveda, Dhamma, pervades everything. There are some particular differences. Fraction. And just different compassion. Krishna reveled in Prem Lila. They didn't distribute it. And therefore Balaram, the image of mercy, didn't share. following Prem Leela, where Lord Chaitanya is distributing bhakti, then the entire ocean of mercy crossed all boundaries and considerations. That's what he's trying to do by his passage and precepts. Another aspect is that, as we discussed briefly before, Lord Chaitanya's and Krishna combined, and as we cannot approach Krishna except through the grace of Baladev, we cannot approach Lord Chaitanya meaning Radha Krishna, but through Lord Nityananda. As Rasa continues to say that there's no entrance into Rasa Leela but by the grace of Lord Nityananda. Meaning that only by Nityananda's grace can we approach Lord Chaitanya, who is Radha and Krishna, and enter the movements of their dance. Reflected in this world, the holy names of the mantra. And some of the differences between Vinay and Lord simply defy description. He is Purna Shakti, the complete energies, the Samasti Guru, meaning the collective Guru Tattva of all, of whom all individual gurus are his various limbs. He is the Sevya Bhagavan, the Sevaka Bhagavan, who serves the Sevya Bhagavan. And the result, once again, is Ananda. There's no joy in being served. There is joy in service. Eternally. And Nityananda is the personification of that truth. So one day, Lord Chaitanya revealed Nityananda when he was calling with great feeling, Davaji, come. And the devotees were wondering, who are you calling? And Lord Chaitanya said, my brother. And then, just thinking of his brother, because you know, Davaji likes Garuda. So when Lord Chaitanya was calling, brother, come. And then his eyes started rolling, his body started swaying, and in great emotion, he began calling in a somewhat demanding tone, bring me wine. That's a very controversial request. And he kept saying, bring wine. Baruni, Baruni. Srinath Thakur is very wise. So he gave him a cup of Ganges water. And then Lord Chaitanya revealed the truth of the matter. He has arrived. You know, all this time, Lord Nityananda, after some years, a very saintly sannyasi arrived in Hare And I found it, they were so honored to serve him. And they stayed up all night, deeply immersed in Krishna. charity we can offer you. He said, yes, there is, but you have to promise to give what I ask. That's an interesting request. I think it's a little uneasy. Yes. So while I'm a sannyasi, and your son would greatly benefit of pilgrimage. He would be a perfect assistant for me. I would be a dedicated guide for him. So just give me your son. It was like a thunderbolt struck both and I wanted to put on in the head. The sannyasi was asking about our lives. And then she remembered the dream. Seeing the person in the dream and told her, your son will be a will deliver millions of conditioned souls from their bondage, suffering, and death. And then they realized his promise of Ram was so emotional. And now it's come to life. Now, I'm Dasra. Sannyasi, our son, it means our death. If we refuse. So they knew. But they kept their word. They died and walked off into the distance of the sannyasi. And from that day on, eat, sleep, and drink water. They began seeing visions. Look, the sannyasi's coming back. He's bringing me home. There's nobody there. And then life just went away. So the sannyasi took the time of pilgrimage throughout India. Some say, and in some creeds, they surmise that the sannyasi was actually Vishnu. Not conclusive. Reasonable. So the sannyasi took the time of some pilgrimages. Ultimately reached Vrindaban, where he met the great Saranya and Mother Vrindaban, and both of them seemed this. He's oblivious to the external world. He's adored in all Ashtashantakabhavas. And in the presence of the great Saranya and Mother Vrindaban, he would become very coherent and focused, and they would share their concerns about the welfare of the world, the need for the descent of the most merciful avatar, and the prophecies revealing that Krishna would come in his most magnificent future. Vrindaban, Krishna, playing like a little child on the sacred garden, with playmates who are sometimes visible, sometimes invisible, but nonetheless. Not revealing overtly his devotional nature. Because he was waiting for Lord Chaitanya's order. He wouldn't act independently. Unless, as he found that he didn't like what he was being told to do. It's not that he wouldn't do it, he'd do it his own way. Which is even more perfect. pundits. When he's ready to distribute love of God, he'll call me. So he's waiting. And then when Lord Chaitanya is actually calling him, and what was the first pastime? Hide and seek. Hiding in Acharya's garden. And Lord Chaitanya went into ecstasy. He has arrived. Meaning the person in his dream. Wearing blue cloth. Carrying a plow, riding a chariot. Stopping at Sachi's house. So Lord Chaitanya, great ecstasy, he said, he's come. He's playing hide and seek. Go find him, he told Haridas. And Srivas. Haridas is, he's Brahma. Srivas Thakur is Narada. Are they unable to find the Lord? He's playing hide and seek. He hides. He couldn't find him such all day. Everywhere, places we would normally never even go. We couldn't find him. Where's he can't find him because he's playing hide and seek. But he can't hide from me. Let's go find time. Big Sankirtan procession. Straight to Nandacharya's house. And saw within this. And the exchange of love between the brothers. Incomprehensible, inconceivable, except through gestures. From where have you come, Nitai? And Lord Chaitanya said, this is perfect timing, because tomorrow is Sri Vyasa Puja. So the night before Vyasa Puja, quite a while, he broke his thumb. Now at this point he's considered to be a sannyasi, never formally took sannyas, but everybody accepts him as a sannyasi. So he broke his thumb in 3 pieces. Just like you later, Lord Chaitanya did, he threw it in the river. And then he went swimming and caught a crocodile, and it's Vyasa Puja, and you get serious. So what is your frantic? Play with crocodiles. And Lord Chaitanya said, Nitai, come, behave. And Lord Chaitanya's words was like the goat that controls the element. You obey, so I want to obey. Tomorrow is Vyasa Puja. So Srivas Thakur, very Papa Brahmana, had everything arranged so perfectly. Lord Nityananda was supposed to act as the Acharya, which is quite interesting and quite revealing. So Srivas Thakur gave the garland to Nitai, which is obvious, it's the garland he placed on the picture of Srila Vyasadeva. He just stood there. Srivas said, well, put it on the picture. Yes. Just stood there. Put the garland on Srila Vyasadeva. Yes. We'll just get everything around. Picture's right in front of him. He's not seeing it. And then he looked at, and then Srivas told Mahaprabhu that, Srivas, don't do what I want to listen to. So Lord Gauranga told him, put the garland on Srila Vyasadeva. And he put the garland on Lord Chaitanya. would then rebuild his 6-hour form. Seeing which Lord Nityananda fainted. Seeing that, Lord Gauranga called to him, Nanitai, get up, listen to the kirtan, which you have come to inaugurate. You have come to distribute love of God, and it's time for you to do it. It's your treasure. Only you can bestow it by your mercy. The time has come. So he's establishing that the Acharya is really Krishna. More specifically, Balarama. Left Navadvip. Too critical. Because, there's not a great reason this parameter that which is again, not his main feature, but it was. Triumphs of learning. So, as decline in true religion, annihilate the miscreants, in this case, the miscreants were various professors of Navadvip teaching either secular philosophy or even Bhagavatam, but not in purely devotional purport, import. So finally, he established, he defeated, and the way he did it was quite complete. He would approach various pundits and he would ask a question. Now these pundits were so exalted in their understanding of philosophy and theology and Vedanta that it would just make the Western mind dizzy in trying to follow the train of thought. And he might, with one question, he could silence them. He would ask questions that were so impossible to answer that he would just silence all potential adversaries. What kind of intellect could even ask such a question that couldn't respond? And then he would answer himself. The answer was more amazing than the question. And then he would refute his answer and establish his original premise in a more convincing way. And so there is a similarity to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, the Simha Guru. When the pundits saw him coming, they would take another course. It's like when the lion is out, the other animals go some other direction. So he silenced all contending viewpoints and established the holy name. I've searched throughout the 14 worlds and found that the holy name is the only eternal reality and truth. Everything else is temporary. So, okay. He He's established. The glories of the holy name are utter dependence on the Sankirtan movement, which alone can save the world. So it was finally established and accepted. And then one day, his own students, they heard him calling gopis, cows. Yes. Finally come to accept that, and in class even, every question, any question only had one answer. It's the glories of the holy name. And for the whole day, his lecture would be the glories of the holy name. And then finally his students realized you're not going to learn traditional Sanskrit studying from the my Pandit. So he said, well, you can go with anybody else, any other teacher, any other accountant, I can't teach anything else. I can't see anything else but this cowherd boy who is so enchanting. His name is Krishna. That's all you will learn from him. It's really everything. But if you want anything else, I give my best and go. Books for books, Krishna said. If you say the holy name is all there is, there's someone wrong, we accept it. After studying for you, where can we go? To whom can we turn? We accept. If I'm accepted, the holy name is everything. Now this one day, all day, he's chanting all the names of cows and gopis. And one of his students, right enough nerve, questioned him. And the others were attacking him. What pious benefit will you achieve by chanting names of gopis and cows? You're supposed to chant the holy name of Krishna. Now, he wasn't in any mood to address that question at this time. So he took on a stick. Now, Lord Chaitanya was 7 feet tall, and the gopis are typically kind of small. And when he was in that mood, with his arm raised, and a stick in his hand, he looked completely. And those little pundits, they just ran and hid. And then they came out of hiding and had a little huddle. We're going to have to teach him. We will rise up and teach him a lesson. And he's only shaking. In that mentality, they cannot receive my gift. And the result, he'd have to take sannyas, because he used to respect sannyasis. He wanted to go to Vrindaban. The Lord Nityananda, once again, he arranged for the Sachi to come to Shani. He tricked Lord Chaitanya. Yes, we're going to Vrindaban. And he thought we'd gone ahead and told the cowherd boys, chant Krishna, Krishna. Listen, the cowherd boys are chanting Krishna, Krishna. We're approaching Vrindaban. Look. Mr. Ganji, look, there's Jamuna. We're almost there. And he's praying to Jamuna, entering her water, bathing in great love. And here comes the great chariot on a boat. I didn't know you were in Vrindaban. Everywhere you go is Vrindaban. I thought this was Jamuna. Well, after they converged and Brad, this side of the river actually is Jamuna. You die, and you've tricked me again. Everybody could say, well, I have dry clothes for you. Mother Sachi, who couldn't really see him as a sannyasi, she just took him in her lap and bathed him in her tears. And then when she heard that he's going to Vrindaban, that all crossed my mind. I want to kill your mother. What kind of religion is that? So he was in the dilemma and said, if you want, I'll come home with you. No. As a sannyasi, you can't come home with your mother. What to do? Mother Sachi said, make your grace. Because Puri, Navadvip, and Vrindaban too, they're like different rooms in the same house. People always come to the room. And she said, I'm hearing about it. The pilgrims traveling back and forth, hearing about you will sustain my life in the rest of perish. So, of course, that's what he wanted, because Jagannath is Krishna in the mood at Kurukshetra, not battle. Vrindaban is a place for shallow thinkers and hypocrites. Kurukshetra is the real place of bhajan. And even his own disciples could not fathom what this was. And he said, where the need is greatest, our prospects are highest. Meaning that the separation excelled to eat all the more at Kurukshetra. Because, and you hear the whole conversation between Mahaprabhu and Jagannath the Rath Yatra. It's the same conversation echoing from between Radha and Krishna at Kurukshetra. My dear Krishna, you're such a refined gentleman with all good qualities. The Brajavasis have come in great expectation to see you. But we're finding somebody else. Here. You're a king, surrounded by warriors, riding chariots, and elephants. The rattling of armor, the neighing of horses, the trumpeting of elephants is not the sights and sounds of Vrindaban. And you, with the crown on your head, where's your peacock feather? Your garland of forest flowers, and most of all your flute. We have come in great expectation to meet Krishna, and we found an entirely different person here. And then, it's right there, she's going to turn down with her, on the road between Vyalacha and Kundisa. And I said, Uddhava, teach you how to remember me. And then Mahaprabhu or Radha, same exact words. To forget you. So the conclusion was, of course, they grab the reins of the horses and pull the chariots with Dwarkadish on board back to Vrindaban, and this is the emotional return of Krishna from Kurukshetra to Vrindaban. Very interesting dynamic. Anyway, so he went to Jagannath Puri because he considered Mother Sachi's verdict as a conjunction. But then he was concerned that the inundation of Gauradesh was not complete. Fortunately, time stayed with Mahaprabhu in Puri until one day Mahaprabhu told him that if you just stay here with me like a peaceful sage, what will become of Gauradesh? Our mission is not complete. So, you need to get back. And then he took him aside and he had some secret talks. But all evidence was that Lord Chaitanya told Nitai that it would be better for him to marry. Because he wanted Gurukul, not being in school. I mean, Gurukul means you establish and expand the family in two ways, through disciples or through family members. And Lord Chaitanya found both to be useful. So he ordered Nitai to return to Kanya, who was called Gopals, who were all the good cowherd boys except for one, Gadadhar Das, who was the incarnation of Chakrakanti. God has opposed us. So while the 11 Gopas were just running around and playing games, and they kept forgetting where they were going. So they'd ask somebody, where's the road to Gauradesh? Oh, you missed it. It was half an hour back. We just laugh and dance 1 hour back. And where are we? Where's the road to Gauradesh? We passed it again. And they just laugh and play games and play the flutes and buffalo horns. Except for Gadadhar, who's in the mood of gopi, is standing as if holding a pot of yogurt. Does anybody want yogurt? And finally they reached Kanyavati, where they made their headquarters at one of the Pandit's house. The site of the famous woods. Punishment, reward, and empowered to escape the bondage of family life and Maharaj Chaitanya's entourage. So, in Gauradesh, Suryadas Pandit, Gauradas Pandit's older brother, who Lord Chaitanya loved so dearly. Suryadas Pandit, very refined character, high government officer, very cultured, gentleman, had 2 daughters of marriageable age, Yashoda and Jama. But he didn't see a suitable potential husband. So Nitai came to his house one day, and seeing his daughters, he recognized them. That's Varuni and Raven. So, and then he remembered Lord Chaitanya's order that he marry. So he proposed to Sridas Pandit that I'll marry your daughter, meaning Vasudha. And Sridas Pandit was so honored. Because he had just recently had a dream where Balaram came to him and said, I will marry your daughters, plural. And now, this Baladev is saying the same thing. But he couldn't quite make the connection. So first he was honored. Then he thought, uh-oh. Started worrying. My daughter is such an orthodox Brahmani. Virtuous in his attitude. Nobody knows that he has passed. started to worry. But then he remembered his dream where Balaram said, all married devotees still couldn't make the connection. Or it's full earthworks. So then he concluded his conversation with Nitai after contemplating, agonizing in his mind. He said, well, actually, I can't comply. But Vasudha heard the whole conversation. And hearing her father reject the offer that was made, she fell unconscious and entered a death-like trance. And everyone panicked. They called the Vaidya, the physician. He tried everything which failed, and he said, it's hopeless. Gauridas Pandit was also there. You know, Shiva. Krishna Lila. Stop her.
For me, you could continue, Maharaj, but I'm not.
We just finish this one Leela briefly. Okay, that's it. I didn't realize we're on Chronos time. Anyway, I'll just finish it. So Gauridas Pandit said, Vashuda's dead because her father went back on his word. But there is a cure. She'll come back to life if you treat her with the dust of Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. Put it on her head and pray for his mercy. Surrender unto him. So he ran to the bank of the river and told Nitai. He came back and he entered the room. And Vasudha caught the scent of his form. She came back to life. She was all disoriented. She saw him and she covered her face with her veil. And he revealed his six-armed form. Everyone fell prostrate before him. Suryadas gave his consent. Yes, please marry my daughter. They had a marriage ceremony and a wedding feast. And during the feast, Janavadev is serving. And Nitai reached up his hand, took her hand, sat her down on the other side, and told Suryadas Pandit, I'll accept this other daughter as the dowry. And Gauridas Pandit, his head was just spinning through this whole series of events. He jumped up, raised his arms in the air, and said, I've surrendered my daughters, my home, my life, my caste, my relatives, everything unto you. And all he could do was dance while chanting, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. You went over time. That's a practical demonstration of the difference between Chronos, linear, chronological time, and Kairos, which is Krishna's time. It will sometimes get you into trouble